Welcome into our WTOL 11 Weather Hangout. And if it is the first time that we've all gathered for the Hangout, to wish you a Happy New Year. And I hope your 2023 is off to a great start. And if you're joining us YouTube or WTOL 11 Plus, we appreciate you being along for the journey. And we promise to make this a very fun and exciting year. Meteorologist Chris Vickers, we've got meteorologist Diane Phillips and meteorologist Matt Willoughby. Great to see you guys. And we're off and running again this year. But I got to ask, how was your holidays as well?
They were good. They were a bit cold for my liking when we're talking wind chills 30 degrees below zero. I thought maybe I needed to book tickets and head out of town somewhere warmer.
But look, we've had winter for 3 days.
Yeah.
Right? And for all those people that ordered snow for Christmas Eve and had it gone the day after Christmas, I think we were able to deliver on that promise this year, Matt Willoughby.
Yeah, exactly. This is the second white Christmas I've seen, and it was definitely a treat to see that on Christmas morning.
We haven't had enough snow, though, to get you sled riding. The snow that did fall, first it was too cold after it came down and a little icy, and then it just melted away, and we haven't even seen a hint of winter here in the month of January.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just itching to go sledding again and just see how it is. I'm ready to try the even bigger hills now, so hopefully we can get that going within the next couple of weeks.
Are you still going to go head first?
I think I have to at this point.
You're brave.
He set the world record for speed limit going head first down the hill just over the river at Glass City Metro Park. Yeah, TPD literally clocked him at 17 miles per hour.
Ooh.
Face first right down the hill. You know what? We do have winter weather lovers, though, in this area, and they have just been woefully disappointed. Put this up there for a stat. Every single day in the month of January, at least at this recording, has been above average. We are now up to 15 straight days of above average temperatures. And guys, is there any sight of winter returning soon?
I haven't seen anything that's like, that slam dunk forecast. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen it to where we just drop into the 20s or even the teens, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of the plan of what we're going to be doing with this winter or with this weather hangout is we'd like to take more of a deep dive into some of the things that are happening not only with our local weather, but all across the country. And while we've been fairly quiet and mild, and our weather, of course, is linked with other parts of the country, the state of California, my goodness, has just been getting pummeled with storm system after storm system. What is up with this, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, it's just been because of the atmospheric river that you've seen where we've seen causing flooding, snowfall, and we got some insane facts for you right here. And this is just something where we've seen 47 inches, not only in just a day, but less than 24 hours. And we even got mudslides and even tons of rain. And you see that 188 mile per hour wind gust.
Diane, what stands out most about these incredible reports that come out of the state of California? And Matt Willoughby found these reports just in the past 72 hours.
Yep.
This is just the latest in a progressive series of massive storms.
I think the real eye grabber there is that 88 mile per hour wind gust. That is, a weak tornado. We're talking tropical kind of force winds at that point. And that's not from a tornado. That's not from a tropical system. That is just a wind gust from the storm. Of course, though, California, they are, usually in drought conditions. So to see this rainfall and this amount, it's tough to handle all that water in one surge. Of course, they need the rainfall. I wish we could have stretched it out, though, for them.
Matt, where is this video actually coming from?
Yeah, so this is coming from at least California, actually Fresno area, where you can see water coming down the mountain and just insane footage. Almost look like something out of a movie almost.
And this is state, as Diane mentioned, that you were so used to and accustomed to talking about drought. If we were to put this type of video in perspective, is this making a big difference in the drought? It's got to be doing some good work towards that drought.
Yeah, it is definitely doing some good work. But of course, some experts in California said, good rain is good for the area, but too much rain can cause some problems.
Kind of what we feared that would be happening. Too much of a good thing too quickly is what they're actually seeing out toward California. So unfortunately, latest reports that I've seen, up to about 18 fatalities attributed to these atmospheric rivers. And you see a video like this, we've got vehicles that are submerged. These, unfortunately, are people's lives that are being impacted by some extreme weather that's just happening too quickly.
Yes, and like I said, if we could have stretched that out, that would have been, very beneficial, because the thing is, we're going to look at this system now. We have the video, like you can see here, to where lives are impacted, and then we could head into the summer season and be hoping that we could have had some of that water back in a more lengthy time or smaller amount, of course. But the thing is, the system can be definitely unbalanced. So though we have this now, we could still be looking at quite a tough summer season with the heat and the dry.
So we've talked the winds, we've talked the mudslides,
Right.
we've now talked the rain and the flooding. Is there another component of this crazy atmospheric river that's ongoing in California?
Yes, Chris, there's snow. Me and you've actually been covering this with the Sierra Mountains like a past couple of weeks where they've seen insane snow amounts. We're talking 6 to 7 feet. And they just got that, just around 47 inches was reported in Lone Pine, California, just within the past less than a day at least.
One of the wildest things that I saw was yesterday, Mammoth Mountain Ski Resort was closed due to harsh wintry weather. Their latest storm total was about 7 to 7.5 feet of snow. And over the past 10 days, they've had over 12 feet of snow, and their season total, and it is still early January, is now over 27 feet of snow. Could you imagine that? We typically average about 3 feet of snow for an entire winter season here in Northwest Ohio. They did that in about a 24-hour period.
Yeah, that's almost enough to fill this whole entire studio full of snow.
And imagine the folks that love to go skiing locally around here. You know, you're traveling a ways to get there, and a lot of times we have to use machines if we, you know, like this winter, haven't really been able to supply it from Mother Nature. So just imagine for the snow lovers here, they're thinking, oh my gosh, all that fresh snow that they could be, you know, having so much fun with. So maybe, just maybe for our snow lovers, we can get at least a little bit of winter as we head into February.
Diane said it. Snow lovers, they are out there. I am one of them. I'm proof that it does exist, and I know you may be one as well. And speaking of snow, it's just been something that's not been seen across our local area so far this winter.
Yeah, exactly. And we got some snowplow at least workers who've been complaining about it as well. We'll have that coming up in just a little bit as well. But before that, enjoy this weather fact. Well, the winter season has been almost non-existent in Northwest Ohio, and this year with Toledo only seeing at least a measurable whopping 1.6 of snowfall, with the meteorological wind being almost half over, many are wondering if this will be the least snowiest season to date. Some may be happy to see less snow, but for some in the industry, it may be a bit more concerning. Check this out. Snowplow companies rely heavily on a snowy winter. But with the lack of snow, it is becoming very difficult to stay afloat this winter.
Yeah, so they're struggling.
Josh Eldridge is the owner of One Source Total Property Solutions. He says he has given pay advances to his employees. He's also finding them work in other places to make up for the lack of income, which is usually really good.
That snow money is good money. It's like money. It's literally like snow and money. And I don't like it. It's hard work, but somebody has to do it, and that's why it's so expensive.
Last month's heavy snowstorm was a glimmer of hope, but the extremely cold temperatures and blowing snow didn't necessarily help.
And it was kind of shaky. Not everybody wanted it because it was so blowing so much and so cold that salt wasn't working at such low temperatures. Some people didn't even want salt.
Owning a snowplow business can also be costly.
A plow is about $7,000 to $14,000. It's an expensive business to be in when you don't use it that much.
Owners like Eldridge have to get creative to keep the money coming in.
For example, the head of snow plowing and the second in command are both at a house doing repair work. We own a couple hundred rental properties.
And the WTOL 11 weather team suggests we will not see a change in weather or snowfall until possibly the start of February.
course, on this weather hangout, we have to talk about, well, a little bit of astronomy too, because of course our weather is going to really play a factor in if you can see all the cool stuff that's out of this world. So actually, you may have heard of this, but we have a comet that's going to be entering our inner solar system. So starting Thursday morning, that's going to be January 12th, you're going to begin to see at least the chance for this comet and start that viewing. So it's going to be most mornings here through the month of January and even into early February, because we will be watching out for a comet. I know it's going to be hard to remember this name. It doesn't really roll off the tongue, but it's called C/2022 E3. Yeah. Almost, yeah. It's maybe a Star Wars name, we could say. But the reason that it has 2022 in it is because we discovered it just last year. But the reason for that is because it's got a length to travel. But you're going to find this comet, it's going to be rolling through, and mainly into those January mornings is when you're going to be watching. Hopefully the clouds don't become too problematic. But the direction that you're going to want to keep an eye to is off towards the northeast. So of course you're going to want to avoid the light pollution, maybe head out of town, and hopefully though those stubborn winter clouds don't become too much of an issue for us. Some tips to kind of help you out. More than likely it's going to be difficult to see this comet with just your bare eyes. So telescopes, binoculars, you're going to want to use those if you have those, if you're going to try to catch a view of this comet here for the next couple of mornings. And when you're looking, it's going to not quite look like that star out into the distance that we're used to looking for. It's going to kind of look more like a circular cloud, a little more of that uniform shape, but you're going to be looking for something that's a little more fuzzy, maybe a little more fluffy, kind of soft like out there. Of course, 28 million miles away from Earth is this comet, so that's why you're going to need a little bit of, a telescope or binocular to help you out. But also, the reason that we just discovered this last year is that this comet's orbit, it's quite large. The last time that scientists say that this comet has actually been near Earth was 50,000 years ago. So that was during the last ice age. Even the scientists say that potentially the Neanderthals were the last species to see this comet. So this is going to be a once-in-a-lifetime thing. And of course, there's going to be, a lot of people that are zipping by to see this. And I'm pretty sure that Chris and Matt, they're going to be zipping out, early here the next couple of mornings, looking around. Have you guys seen it? It's probably a little too bright in here.
I'm going to be the one out there in my binoculars in the middle of January, in the freezing cold, trying to find them. I do always say
5:30 in the morning.
You're right, 5:30 in the morning. Expectations versus reality. I think you summed it up. It's going to be kind of a fuzzy, little distant, hazy cloud of a comet, if you're able to see it with a binocular or a telescope. It's something to get excited about if you're an astronomy nerd or science nerd like we are.
Yeah, I do remember seeing one. I don't remember. It was a couple years ago. I think it was maybe during the pandemic. I drove out of town, had binoculars, and I was able to see one of the comets that was once in a lifetime comets to see. And it was cool. It was kind of blue, green, and it was definitely like a cloud.
And this maybe before you, Matt, Diane and I have a similar experience. I remember Halley's Comet. I was probably no more than maybe 7 or 8 years old when it made its pass by Earth. And I remember my dad taking me out and showing me off in the distance, hey, you could see it off in the sky. So it is something cool that if you're able to see it, maybe you give it a try.
Yeah, and so Matt, that means early alarm, so then you can have a comet story to share.
I need a comet story. I've never seen one. So.
I just hope that the clouds, we all know.
It's a tough time of the year.
It's hard this time of year because sometimes we feel, that seasonal kind of the winter blues. So maybe this is a good reason to get outside, maybe bust up that cabin fever and, get up early, see some out of this world stuff.
Speaking of winter blues, who's got the snowfall blues? Or at least maybe the lack of snowfall.
Just something. I just want something out there.
We have to send you to the other side of Lake Erie, Matt, where Buffalo, New York is. This is just a quick map just showing you some of the departures in the average snowfall compared to where we typically would be at this date. If you're here in Toledo, watching across Northwest Ohio, our departure, if you check this out, we're now almost a foot below average, whereas compared to Buffalo, New York, 58.5 inches above above normal. At one point, the difference between Toledo and Buffalo was 100 inches of snowfall this season.
That's honestly incredible to think about what Lake Erie makes a difference with that lake effect snow that they're seeing.
And it doesn't look like it's going to be changing, at least in the next couple of weeks. February, though, Diane, what's your outlook for February?
February, I see already that the pattern's going to change a little bit. We'll get a little bit closer to that cooler air. I was even earlier this week talking about ice cover. And we only have, of all the Great Lakes, less than 8% are covered. So if you have family and friends in Buffalo, that means lake effect season's still going to be going strong for us. As far as us, we, gotta, depend on Lake Michigan to get that lake effect to help bump our numbers. So I think I can feel it in my gut.
I feel it too.
I think February's not going to disappoint.
February's going to make a turn. We've seen that in the past, similar to what we saw last winter under a similar pattern. May make a turn toward a colder and snowier February. Question is, before we let you guys go, are you feeling lucky today?
Today?
Little bit.
Oh, Matt's feeling confident. I'm going to wait, and I feel like I'm going to be feeling lucky on Friday.
Yeah, on Friday.
Or maybe Thursday night? Friday night?
Could be.
What night do I need to be feeling lucky on?
Hang with me on this one. Matt, you're going to have to run over if you go ahead and advance.
Possibly just tap that away.
Let's see. And the magic.
We might have
okay, so I'm not feeling lucky today.
So we'll be right back.
Yeah, so I'm not feeling lucky today on this one.
In the news, you may have heard something a little bit about this big jackpot called MegaMillions. I like to call it MegaBillions, realistically.
Yes.
So we like to talk odds because we're we got science on our mind, data and statistics. So what is the actual odds, come on back in, Matt, of winning the MegaMillions jackpot? And these odds are widely known. They are 1 in 302,575,350.
Okay, so after my clicker, I'm not feeling lucky after crunching the numbers.
Yeah, that's a lot of numbers.
I like to say we'd live our lives a little bit differently if we actually played the odds. Would you actually spend that extra couple bucks? I don't know. It's the thrill of thinking maybe you could be the one that wins. But in somewhat of a serious sense here, we're going to compare to the chance. What would be your chance of actually being struck by lightning over the course of your entire lifetime? The odds of that are actually 1 in 15,300. Unfortunately, it's much more realistic that could happen. Maybe you live your life and what you do during the summer season just a little bit differently and heed that advice when we say when thunder roars, go indoors.
Yes, of course, you can spend a couple bucks, buy a daydream, but we want you to be safe out there all season, all year long. So yeah, just kind of remember these odds when you buy that lottery ticket during the summer. And then, of course, I always say if you need help picking numbers, you know where to get the numbers, right? Off the WTOL 11 weather app.
That is good.
You got 10 full days there. Yeah, you have 10 full days of numbers to pick from.
Nice plug, right?
Yeah.
I love it.
But I always use the weather to pick, numbers. It's great.
Well, recent winning numbers were all lower numbers. Cold, more typical of January.
Oh, so February.
So above average.
Well, this is fun, guys, and we appreciate you guys being with us as we launch back into 2023 with our Weather Hangout. If you enjoyed this one, and we had thousands of people from across the country that actually viewed our last Weather Hangout. If you want to check that out, you can check it out on WTOL 11 Plus or on YouTube, as we did prepare at that time for a pretty significant winter storm. And if you enjoyed this one, why don't you share a good word with your friends and family? Let them know that the WTOL 11 weather team having a little fun with their Weather Hangout.
Yes.
Always having fun.
Yeah.
Always having fun. For now, for meteorologist Diane Phillips, meteorologist Matt Willoughby, I am Chief Meteorologist Chris Vickers. You have a great day.